Good morning. So today we're going to talk about how you can AI-proof your career and actually thrive, not just survive. So unless you've been living under a rock for the last 5 years, or maybe you've been stuck in politics, pandemics, and tutti quanti, I'm sure you've asked yourself a lot of questions on AI. Questions such as, is AI coming for my job? How do I stay relevant? Or can I AI proof my career? I certainly have asked myself these questions a lot. And I mean, rightfully so. AI isn't coming, it's here already. Thank you for being here. My name is Peggy van der Plas. And let's look a little bit at some data right now. So the IMF is actually saying that 40% of global jobs are exposed to AI and as high as 60% in advanced economies. McKinsey, the consultant firm, estimates that automation, which includes Gen AI, could add between 0.5 and 3.4% to annual productivity growth, which is obviously massive. And Goldman pegs the long-run GDP lift at 7%. And to give you another type of number, the World Economic Forum expects 69 million jobs created, but also 83 million jobs displaced by 2027. So again, change is here. Now it's your turn to make a move, Some tasks will get automated, many tasks will get rebundled, the productivity is going to jump, as I just said, the career is really going to reshape. So where do you come from there, knowing all of that? And I mean, from my perspective, it's pretty straightforward. You amplify everything AI can't do or cannot do well, and you let AI, Gen AI or agentic do the rest. So let's start with some of the few options here. So the first thing that I believe is really the cornerstone is this idea that critical thinking is the operating system. That should be your operating system with or without AI. So it's not about churning reports. That's not what you're bringing to the table. It's about asking the right questions, getting the right info, and probing results. So no report should come from a LLM that you don't intimately understand and design. So I personally treat ChatGPT, that's the tool I use, like an analyst. I direct the work. I bring the industry context, it compiles, it drafts, sometimes it brings ideas, but I lead and I have a final say on the report. So I really, really want to emphasize that one because one of the big challenges I see with LLM is reports that are put together that are just averaging what you see on the web, which is not necessarily of high quality. And it doesn't have your personal touch. So you need to bring that. It is the other way around. You're leading the AI. You are coming already with your thoughts, and then you might ask their help. I ask their help to help me with my spelling, with the grammar, all these type of things, but they're not telling me what I should think. And I think that's the biggest challenge we're seeing right now. The second thing that's very important is writing AI is getting good, but verbal communication is obviously harder to fake. Only you can do that. So, like really think about how can you become a stronger speaker. So, run concise meetings, read dynamics in the room. No AI can do that. Land a point clearly, present often, brown bags, client calls, board pre-reads. So your spoken clarity becomes your signature. And I have to say that speaking in public was not my strong suit by any stretch of imagination. But, I really realized early on in my career that if I wanted to have a fulfilling and successful career, I had to master speaking, public speaking. So I took courses, Toastmasters is great. It's very cheap. They have chapters everywhere, and I'm sure now they're doing it online as well. And I took courses to become comfortable. I also used to blush a lot, which is a challenge when you're speaking in a professional meetings and you're blushing and you're sweating. Unfortunately, whatever you're saying is becoming less relevant because people focus, at least that's how I perceive it, on your lack of confidence. You're still losing some points. So I would get very nervous, and then I would get nervous about getting nervous. So I did a lot of hypnotherapy to help me with that. And that really helped me with reducing my anxiety, but also reducing my performance anxiety and calm my body. So some people use beta blockers. That can be a helpful shortcut. I haven't tried it yet, but whatever make you work better. So again, I really want to put the emphasis on your voice, because that is not something that AI is doing well or doing at all. Another thing that is very important is your EQ, emotional intelligence. That is your unfair advantage. So obviously AI is great, at tokens. It's terrible at trust. So you really, really want to make your human touch visible, like your judgment and ethics, understanding all of that, framing problems in that context with that lens. So that is something that is specific to you. Your leadership presence. I mentioned speaking, with clarity, but leadership presence is a bit something different. It's being calm under pressure. It's this ability to obviously collaborate as well and lead people. The narrative, how do you storytell, can you turn some data points into meaning for people to act on? So if you look at EQ, understanding what people want, even if they don't articulate it clearly themselves, sometimes because they don't even know it themselves, anticipating pushback, knowing what makes people tick are indispensable tools. I was talking about reading the room a bit earlier. So that are things that are extremely important. So, and if that sixth sense isn't fully developed for you, no problem. There is an easy trick: listen more. I know we tend to think you always have to take the floor, but listen to what your interlocutors are saying, not the words they use. Are they parroting, the party line? Are they independent thinkers? If you're really listening to people, they're going to tell you what really matters to them. So that, again, these are not the type of things an AI can do, because they don't really have the understanding of feelings. They just take the words as it is, while we know that most of the communication is nonverbal, yours and others. So that is another great tool you can use to differentiate yourself. Another one is your network. Of course, your network, like models predict, but people, they open doors. So invest in your network like it's an asset, like whether it's a daily micro touches where you send a little note, whether you organize, micro salons with 6, 8 people to chat about a real problem, whether you're sharing artifacts. Again, that can be a newsletter, that can be a playbook, that can be, benchmarks. So, stay in touch with your network. So for me, so I'm going to spend 4 weeks actually in the UAE, 2 weeks in Dubai, 2 weeks in Abu Dhabi in September. And the goal for me is really learning the region, meeting operators and investors, uncovering business opportunities. You learn faster when you're in the room, and you are more memorable. So that, again, your network is one of your moat in a world that is totally disrupted by AI. So another thing I want to mention is show your work consistently. And so for years, I've written a newsletter, I recorded this podcast, and it led me to channel my creativity, to share ideas, to invite interesting guests, to build relationship. And, let's be honest, it also reminds people that I exist, and it's really a body of work that is quite sizable now, that prospective clients and employers can scan to get a real sense of who I am. They may love it, they may not love it, that's another story, but I am not invisible. So in October, I will join a fireside chat with someone absolutely fabulous. If you don't know her, her name is Sonia Couteau. She has a great podcast. She was a guest on my podcast in the past. And we will be speaking at the Elevate Festival. And yes, it's a fun opportunity to share insights and experience. But again, it's also a great opportunity to be visible and to show, who I am and what I stand for. So that is really something I recommend very often. People are afraid to put themselves out there, to show their work. But if you really want to, differentiate yourself and stay relevant, that's something you need to do. No one can offer you an opportunity if they don't know you exist. As simple as that. Another thing is also you need AI fluency. So you notice that's not the first thing I mentioned on how to AI proof your career. I didn't focus on AI first, but it's still something you need to learn. You don't need to learn to build models, but you must understand how to drive outcomes with AI. So I took a course on using Gen AI well. Now I'm exploring advanced agentic AI systems via Coursera. You might be familiar with Coursera, and it's totally worth it. So, you really need to look at all these things. How do you understand, the basic prompts and retrieval? How do you help build slide deck, emails, all these things? That's very, very basic. How do you automate, can you build one agentic workflow that saves you an hour a week? All these things, really, really important to be on top of that. Again, it's not necessary to become an expert, but you need to understand what we're talking about. So one thing that's very important as well is this idea of what makes you you. And what I mean by that is generalists, they're table stakes, but your moat is specific. And maybe it's like something very specific related to your industry, SME, lending risk, specialty pharmacy ops, B2B infra pricing. Maybe it's geography. You have an edge because you speak multiple languages, because you know local and foreign regulations. Maybe you have connections in another country. So what makes you you? Because your diploma is great, as is your work experience. But it is the combination of everything, again, speaking multiple languages, working abroad, serving on charity boards, competing as an athlete, a passion for contemporary art, etc. That's that makes you special. You cannot bank only on the classic diploma plus work experience. Everyone has that. It's boring and it is not enough. So it's really about what makes you you. What do you stand for and how do you stand out? And so from there, what is your unique secret sauce? And it's a continuation or a variation of your both. You are you. Great. Now, what is it that you and only you can do? And that is your secret sauce. Mine, I've always been told that I can work with anyone, from the janitor to the CEO. I relate to people and I understand what they need. I'm creative, strategic, I'm an independent thinker, and I have deep financial expertise and tech experience across large and small organizations globally. This is who I am. So what does it mean? What is it that I'm perfectly suited to do that me and only me kind of can do it? So the role of operating partner in private equity fits me perfectly. I can lead global change strategically and collaboratively. Yes, my diploma and my experience matters, of course, but thousands of people have those. Thousands of people have the same diploma kind of and the same experience kind of than I. I cannot just bank on that. What they don't have is this exact combination of skill, experiences, capability, insights, personality traits. So ask yourself what can you do that is hard to copy, and I don't know, cross-functional collaboration, show some of your proof of work, case studies with numbers, again, links to artifacts. What is your repeatable way of working? So that is something that is extremely, extremely important, is what is it that you can do only you? And again, in this context of how don't you get disintermediated by AI? Well, if you're focusing on things that are not AI related and that only you can do in this very special way, well, now you're becoming unique and it's way more difficult to replace you. So that's really the mindset here. So if you want to look a bit more into that, you can do like a little 4-week sprint to again start AI proofing your career. Week 1, what is your secret sauce? Do an audit. What is your secret sauce? Week 2, build one agentic workflow. So you know all these things work. I think by now everyone knows how to use Gen AI and LLM. How do you build an agentic workflow? 3, signal. Publish one artifact, please. And I'm not saying to publish the usual LinkedIn picture with your kid, picture with your dog, picture of you at an event, which is nice, whatever. That doesn't bring anything to anyone. It's going to bring you a lot of like, but it doesn't say much about you and it doesn't say why you are exceptional. Show how you think, show what is your value. And week 4, network. Host one micro salon if you want, or recontact 2-3 people you haven't spoken with, build your network. And just this 4 week, you're going to already be further ahead in that AI proofing program. So there are a few traps you want to skip. The first is this idea of hoarding certificate. I see people, they're following AI courses left, right, and center. It's nice to follow AI courses, but you need to build artifacts based on these courses. Otherwise, but you're not proving anything. Just saying you follow the course doesn't really do it. You need to show what you've done with these courses. The biggest and worst thing is copy pasting outputs from LLM without judgment, without disclosure, really, really be mindful of these are your words, these are your thoughts, this is your name. So that you use LLM to help you, that's great. I love it to help me with some data. Every week it helps me rewrite my newsletter to make sure, again, spelling, grammar, all of that is fine. But I don't come up with a topic and I'm expecting it to write it, because it's never going to be what I think. It's going to be what the average of the web think, which is usually not great quality, let's be honest. And the third traps is this idea of, anyway, AI will do my job, the fatalism. Let's use AI to do your busy work so you can do the real work. So the bottom line is really AI, it's tasks. It doesn't eat trust. So your moat is really this combo of human, your EQ, your network, your verbal clarity, your leadership, your secret sauce, times AI, leveraging the speed, leveraging the scale. You need to nail both, and you will not just AI proof your career, you will accelerate it. So I hope it has been helpful. I hope you understand a bit more how you could actually, on one hand, leverage AI for your career, but also actually leverage more of your humanity and your uniqueness in order to differentiate yourself and become way more interesting and augmented with AI. So thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will talk to you next week from Dubai. Bye-bye.